Dating from the early 20th century, the workers' cottages in Newtown, Johannesburg form part of the Workers' Museum complex. The Workers' Museum is located in a former black migrant workers' hostel, with the adjacent cottages built for white staff and supervisors. The museum speaks of the harsh segregated labor practices in the city, with the relative comfort of the adjacent cottages further highlighting the segregation and prejudice that existed between workers of different races. The cottages, facing onto Mary Fitzgerald Square, had fallen into a state of disrepair and were left crumbling and unusable after a failed renovation project in the mid-2000s. The project aimed to bring the cottages back to a condition where they could be used for offices for the museum, as well as spaces for various tenants and NGOs that support arts, culture, and heritage. From the beginning, the tight budget was used as a means to conceptually guide the project. Botched renovations and the stripping out of sections of the building were seen as an opportunity to reveal the underlying materiality of the building. The building was seen as a physical documentation of its own history, with its original materiality, defects and quirks accepted as part of its character and significance. The intention of the project was always to bring back the original quality of the building, and not to have new interventions outshine the old. With this in mind, the hand of the architect had to be kept very light, almost invisible. The existing buildings guided design decisions, with only slight reinterpretation necessary to make them function as office spaces. Original paint colors of ochre and turquoise, uncovered during the restoration, were reinterpreted as blocks of color to bring new energy into the space. And when new fittings and finishes were needed, they were all contemporary reinterpretations of the old. Wherever possible, existing materials were reused and recycled, from windows and floorboards to bollards and recycled brickwork. Artwork became an important part of the project. A call was put out for local artists to prepare artworks following the theme of Labour in Johannesburg, reflecting the past and present of workers in the region. From the proposals, 50 artists were commissioned to produce small artworks to form a permanent collection in the buildings. Framed and displayed in the recovered and recycled window frames from the buildings, they add an important new energy and meaning to the restored spaces. The commissions for the artists in the midst of the COVID pandemic were widely welcomed, with the MMC for Community Development, Councillor Arnolds, expressing this at the opening of the building, saying that the artworks speak widely and directly to the people. They tell the stories of our city and of our nation, of our heroes and of the ordinary people. In that way, we are able to connect to workers' history, and this helps to show who we are and how we connect to our past and to each other. It is very fitting that these artworks should be shown here. The success of the renovation and restoration is a pair of buildings that look like they belong, as if nothing has changed despite their substantial upgrade. While the buildings represent a difficult part of South Africa and Johannesburg's past, their preservation is important. With the adjacent museum, the buildings remind us of a segregated and brutal past. They also, however, act as a reminder of how far we have come and are a symbol of hope for what can be achieved.